Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Hey guys, welcome back to another special episode. And on the show here today, I'm joined by Jim Costa, who has many experience with online videos, sports, television commercials, corporate and documentary video creation. Jim has completed over 4,450 projects on YouTube alone and has amassed millions and millions of views. Today, he's going to be helping us with how to create a personal brand, how to connect with your customers using this vehicle. Jim, thanks again for joining us here on the show.
I appreciate very much the invitation, and I look forward to sharing my knowledge with your audience.
Incredible. Jim, you were talking to me earlier on about your life experience, how you got started in this industry of being in front of a camera and in the film industry. Would you share a bit of that with our audience today?
Yes, sir, of course. I have literally been in video and television production for my whole life. And I don't even mean my adult life, even as a child. I did my first little film. It was an 8mm film at the age of about 9 or 10. And it was very simple. And this is a true story. And if you don't believe me, you can see the video. It's on my YouTube channel. I went, it's called Little Kids Mondo Video. I'll get to that in a second. I was a young child visiting my cousins in the summer, during summer break. And I was, of course, when I was young, and you probably know this, we didn't have Xbox. We didn't have the internet to play games all day and stuff. So we had to entertain ourselves. We actually had to use our imagination. So we bought a little 8mm film camera at a garage sale for $5, and we decided we're going to write little scripts and we're going to make a little movie, just like Saturday Night Live. We used to stay up late, sneak and under the blankets, and watch Saturday Night Live so our parents wouldn't hear because it's past our bedtime. And I was like, I used to love that show. And I was born and raised in New York, and I actually saw it being produced live, and I was like, oh, this is so great. I bet I could do this. So we wrote little scripts, and we edited it all in camera because we had no way to do it. We didn't know anything about lighting or sound or anything. We just this looks like a fun thing to do. I talked my cousins into getting it. And we made a little movie, got the film processed, and then we had a premiere for my parents and my aunt and uncle and other family members. And they were literally, and I mean, this is true, they were laughing in some of the right spots. Not all the spots, but some of the right spots with this little 5-minute silent movie that we made on 8mm film. It was one spool, 100 feet of film, so we had to do everything in camera, and that's all we had. Right. And while they were watching the screen, I was actually watching my family. I was like, I can't believe that they're laughing when they're supposed to, and that they get it and they understand the story and all that. Even because we were one scene I was chasing, I looked like an evil guy. I was chasing my cousins through the woods, and they're running. I had a knife in my hand, and I had to get this shot of the sun gleaming off the knife and through the trees, and I chased them, and then I go on the door, and I'm pounding on the door, and then they open the door, and I hand them the knife. It's I look like some kind of slasher film, but it was really just supposed to be a little funny skit, Yes. And I was like, I really like this. I don't know what it is. I have a knack for this, and something clicked in my brain by the age of 9 or 10, and this is what I want to do. And when I got done with high school, I studied as much as I could. I did photography. They didn't really have filmmaking class, but I did all the pictures in the yearbook for years so I could practice my skills of composition and lighting and everything. And even when I was done with high school, I left. The #1 film school in the United States where I live was in California at the time that I graduated.
Right.
This is in the 80s. And so I bought a one-way plane ticket, and I had 2 bags of clothes, my camera bag on my shoulder, and $502 left in my pocket. And I was like, I'm going to film school. I'm going to figure out what I'm doing. And I had no plan once I got off the plane, other than school starts in 3 days. And I found a room. I rented someone's garage, and I got a job on campus that like if in the cafeteria, if you clean the cafeteria for an hour, you can get a free meal. I figured out I could clean the cafeteria in between class and eat, and I managed to put myself through school without any debt when I was done, because I worked like 3 jobs. And
Brilliant.
then I've been doing this literally when I got done, I was doing it my whole life. I worked in television and broadcast in the United States at first, and then when in 1994 I started my company, and I have been doing that pretty much ever since.
Incredible. And what I love about your story there is you learned at an earlier stage how to connect with your audience, which is what we're going to be talking about here today.
Yes, and that was an honest mistake. It was a happy accident because I had no idea. I wasn't sure if they thought this was a stupid waste of time or whatever, but it really shocked me. It was truly surprising that a little kid with no knowledge other than watching TV, and going to the movies, could actually put something together that's understandable and that people would enjoy. I mean, I know they were my family and they were probably being generous, but still, I was like, I did everything I could to learn as much as I could. Back then, I read books and made projects, and still, just to this day, it's worked. And you mentioned, my YouTube channel. Honestly, I probably have 3 or 4 times that number that's on there. I just don't have time to get them on YouTube. I'm so busy doing other things that I could have 12 or 15,000 probably if I actually made every project and could put every project. Some are proprietary and others, but I just don't have time to do them.
Yes, yeah. What I love about what we're talking about is, you've been doing it for so long, and you obviously have figured out how to connect with the audience. And I'm hoping that today we will help business owners to connect with their audience. Maybe you can talk about the things you've learned over the years that enabled you to connect with your audience. Maybe we can start with demystifying some misconception and then go straight into that. What has been your discovery? What's the myth out there about creating a personal brand and connecting with the customers?
Sure. Well, let me take it from the point of view first of commercials, since that's my most recent work doing television and radio commercials.
Yes.
The main thing is that I figured out over the years is you need to be able to tell a good story, and no matter what that story is. Now, it's not easy because, at least in the United States, the buy time on television and other stations is very expensive. So you might have 30 seconds or even 15 seconds to tell a story to get your point across. And so you need to be concise, and you need to narrow it down to, the absolute core of your message. It'd be nice to have 2 minutes commercial and you can tell a little story. You've seen long ones, I'm sure. But that costs, thousands of dollars each time it runs. So you don't have the time or the money. Most people don't have, even big companies don't have that budget. So you have to get to, the absolute core, like of the apple of your message in a short amount of time. Now, when I mentioned about personal branding, the personal branding can work whether you're a big corporation or a small sole proprietor or anywhere in between. For example, I have built myself as a personal brand, even though I have a company, by my name is everywhere here where I live. So if you mentioned, I'm Jim Costa, so I have Jim Costa films on everything. And I have done it in such a way that because I have so much experience in radio and television and photography in this related areas, I started several years ago on YouTube actually giving away my knowledge of how to take photographs or how to edit videos or how to shoot videos and so forth. And I have found that it's very possible these days. I have my cell phone here, right? This has a better camera than the one I started with all those years ago when I was in college and got out of college. My phone.
Yeah.
It is actually possible for you as a business owner to do what I do on your own, if you have the time and the knowledge. to do it. Now, of course, I want you to hire me or someone like me, but you don't actually have to do it. And the nice thing about it is that this little device here can get your message across, and it's free. I mean, once you buy your phone and you have social media, let's say, or whatever, you can do the work yourself if you want. And a lot of companies don't know that. They can do the work themselves and then gain your customers and leads and so forth indefinitely. So let me give you an example. When I started my blog several years ago, where I mentioned I was offering tips and tricks on how to shoot video and photos and so forth. Now, the nice thing about that is, once I put that on YouTube, it takes time to make it, obviously, to shoot it and edit it and all that. But once that's done and you upload it, it's free. YouTube doesn't cost any money. And you are generating leads through that indefinitely.
Yes.
Because as long as there's a Google, there'll be a YouTube.
Absolutely.
And you can turn around and you don't have to pay for, TV or airtime or whatever, or, whatever you're doing, however you're doing advertising, print or whatever it is, or online, because it's free. That is a lead generating magnet 100% of the time, 24/7, every day of the year. In fact, right before I started talking to you, I went online and was looking at the people who commented on my thing, and I go out of my way to respond to their questions. And if you have a big team, you have a team who does it. But so when someone comments on my video, they ask a question, or even if they say, "Hey, this was very helpful," I say, "Thank you very much. Please stay tuned." Like I have a new video every week, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to get them coming back. And my channel, we'll go through the steps and all that, but just a sort of brief breakdown. My channel is literally, I run it like a TV station. And I act as though my blog is a TV show. Everyone has their favorite TV shows. What can you say about it? They're always on the same channel, on the same day of the week, at the same time. So I have releases, for example, every Wednesday. And by noon Pacific time, where that's my time code is West Coast is Pacific time, I have a new release, at least one or sometimes more, every Wednesday at that time, so that people know to come and log on to my channel at that time every single week. Because just like if you're watching television and you have a favorite TV show, it's going to be on, Sunday night at 9 o'clock or whatever time it is, whatever day, you treat your channel like that, and people get used to that, and they keep coming back for more.
Excellent. Let me take you back to the first point you made about telling a story, that you've got to get good at telling a story. How can people get good at that, especially those who are getting started? What are the pointers?
Well, sure. Think of it like, in business terms, like your elevator pitch.
Right.
If you've heard of that, especially we have that in the United States, right? So you run into an elevator, there's a potential customer, you hand them your card, you've got, 2 minutes or whatever while you're going up to the top of a building to describe your company or your service or what it is you do. That is what I mean by getting to the point. Maybe the person's getting off on the second floor and you've got 10 seconds to get your point across, you see? So you need to, when you tell, the idea to tell a good story is, in business terms, might be having that elevator pitch, that narrowed down, super targeted information that a total stranger who's going to get it, who probably gets a million cards handed to them and tosses it away, you don't want them to do that. You want them to remember, "Hi, I'm Jim Costa. I do television and video production. I'd love to help you with your advertising for your company."
Right.
Like that tells people what I do. It takes 8 seconds or whatever to get to the point. And if they're interested, they'll want to hear more. But what's the core, the absolute center of your message, whatever service you provide or whatever your company does or whatever? Everybody has one. It's a question of getting that point across in, say, 2 sentences. And that's what I mean by super targeted and super focused. And you could get into more detail later, but you got, you know, they say you only have one chance to make a first impression. Well, what's that first impression? You know, what is it that you do that's so special? I run a blog to help businesses to grow and expand, or whatever your elevator pitch is. You know, we all have one in business, or you learn to develop one. That's what I mean by getting to the core of your story and getting the message across, the most important message, in the least amount of time.
Awesome. Let's move on to talk about how do you connect with your potential customer now that you've got your elevator pitch ready or your core story in place. Now you're in front of a camera. What do you do? Talk to us about that process.
Sure, of course. Well, it takes time. I want to be stressed about this. This is not the type of thing where you're going to upload, say, one video to social media, YouTube, or wherever, and you're going to be an overnight success. That's not how it works. I mean, maybe one person in a million will get lucky, but most of us are not going to be. So what I do is, well, for one thing, I practice. My process is I write a script, because even today, you know, I have an odd way of talking. I use my hands a lot, and sometimes you lose your thought, and there's a pause. So I write it down. I choose a topic for one of my blogs, and I try to narrow that down to the important points, and that's when I develop a script for my story. And now I don't expect everyone to be a writer. Usually this is something they hire me to do when I'm working on it. But I have a meeting, like we're talking, and I find out what you do, your elevator pitch, and then I'm the interested guy. Tell me a little bit more about your company, so that I know about it. Because when the first meeting, you know, you can only know so much online. I need to talk to you and to your people to know really what's going on. So I take notes, and then I literally will write a script, and I try personally. There's different approaches, but usually I try to answer one question in my video blogs.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. The one I released this past Wednesday, was shooting photography during the blue hour. And if you're not a photographer, you probably don't know what that means, but the blue hour, so the blue hour is that time of day just after the sun sets or just before it rises, when the sun's below the horizon, but it still casts light in the sky. And you can take beautiful photos at that time of day, or beautiful videos, or whatever you're shooting. So I literally called it, you know, the Blue Hour Photography Shooting Guide. And I talked about what it is. I introduced the subject. This is what the Blue Hour is. If you've never heard of this topic, if you're not a professional photographer, you probably don't know. This is what it is, and this is how you shoot it. So I offered tips on the settings for your camera, for example, to shoot. And I show examples, of course. And then I offer tips on, you know, what to do next if you want to do it. Like, how do you go about this? How do you get ready for this? Because it's not, we call it the blue hour, but it could be only like 15 or 20 minutes after the sun sets when there's light. So you have to be ready. So I kind of tell you how to prepare. And, you know, so it's just like a story, like a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, for lack of a better description. And that particular video was a companion to the one the week before. The one the week before was called the golden hour shooting. The golden hour in photography and so forth is that time of day, that hour or so before the sun sets, you see, when it's low in the sky and you get that beautiful red sky. We've all seen it. In photography, that's known as the golden hour. So those two videos are companions. So I literally made these two answering the questions, what is golden hour, what is blue hour, and I actually wrote the scripts together with the idea where I talked a little bit about blue hour in the golden hour one, and a little bit about the golden hour in the blue one, and I gave you it's the same thing. I talk about what it is, I show you how to shoot it, where you set your camera to start, and you know it varies a little bit, what to do, and then a conclusion of how to be ready for it. And I did that for both of them, and they combine. And in YouTube, they're a playlist, so they play one right after the other. And the idea is, I'm an expert. Look at this. I'm a guy who shot photography since I was a little kid, and videos and so forth. And I told you about one, the golden hour, because that's the one everyone knows about. That's the most famous. And then I said, but you should also consider the blue hour. And then I have this video, I have a companion video about the blue hour, and watch that next. So, and the idea was, and if you understand YouTube, the way it works is YouTube really likes it when a person stays on your channel or watching your videos or stays on YouTube. They don't want you to watch a little video like for 2 minutes and then go on Facebook or something like that. So, or Instagram or whatever. They want you to stay on YouTube. So if you can build companions, these are, I call them companion videos, and they build in a playlist. They play one right after the other. YouTube loves that because they can show you more commercials. But in my case, it establishes me as an expert in that field, in photography, because I give examples of photos that I've taken or that photographers that I know have taken, if they can let me use them. And the whole point is to keep people not only watching, but getting in their head, I'm a guy who you can trust, who is who knows what he's talking about, who can help you to learn. And I don't have any problem giving away my secrets of how to set the camera and all that, because the truth is, most people are terrible at taking pictures, for example, or shooting video. It's true that they can do it, but you've seen it. They're out of focus, and they cut people's heads off, and their fingers in the front of the lens and all that. I mean, the truth is, most people know if they're not good at shooting photographs, let's say, because they just look terrible,
Yes.
Where, I mean, I don't mean to insult anyone, but it's true. If you take a picture and you're on vacation and your fingers, they're all out of focus, however, you're going to be upset, right? Because they don't look good.
Yeah.
But if you take my advice, it will hopefully help you improve. It may not. I mean, you need to have a creative eye, I think. You have to really have it in your brain that you're a good, how to shoot photos and how to compose and all that. But you can take my advice and learn. And the idea is, if I help you to improve your work, even if it's just vacations or whatever, you'll keep coming back to me later for more professional advice when you need it. And I have no problem giving away my secrets, and I talk about it all the time. Whatever I'm doing, this is what I do. I usually have a section in there at the end, for example, that says, "You're probably wondering what I do, so this is what I do, or this is my preference, even if I didn't take a stand in the video." The video, for example, that just uploaded right before I got on with you this morning was shooting in RAW versus JPEG.
Right.
It's another photography related. Those are two file formats. If you're a photographer, you know what that means. It's two different file formats. And I discussed the pros and cons of each. And I don't really take a stand, but then at the end I do say, because you have to decide for yourself what you want to do. But I say the advantages of JPEGs are A, B, and C. And the disadvantages are A, B, and C. And then I do RAW, A, B, and C, advantage, disadvantage, And at the end I say, I personally shoot in RAW because I expect to manipulate the photos. I have to go in Photoshop, and I do product photography, for example. So I have to fix it to make it look really good for advertising purposes.
Yeah.
So I tell people, so I have but the idea is, if I give you all the knowledge and information that I have when I write out the script, you will learn something from me, and you will hopefully come back for more. Even if you don't hire me, you're still watching my channel, and you're still learning from me, and maybe you'll know. Maybe if you don't own a business, but you just want to learn better, you'll do it. And I have people like that. I have a lot of followers who are regular people who comment on my photos and ask questions. So I will, I'm shooting such and such, fashion shoot. What do you recommend? And sometimes it's an easy question. I can just go in and type an answer in the comments. I try to answer them within 24 hours if I can, if I'm available. And sometimes, and this is true too, and you'll find as a business owner, there's a question that's so good that it actually warrants its own video.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And that's another way that you can establish yourself as a professional. If you get the same question from 50 customers, let's say, about your service or product, that's something you can make a video on to teach them so that you don't have to answer the same question 50 times. You know, you can send them a link to the video and it answers their questions for them. Because you bet if 50 people ask you, it's probably 50 times that actually have that same question. So as a business owner, you know what your customers want to know and what they need to know. And those are good topics to talk. So how do you establish yourself as a personal brand? This is all leading up to this. You go on and you tell them what they want to know. If you were to say for yourself, for me, it's, you know, I want to shoot videography, whether it's for business or I want to be a filmmaker or whatever. So I go on and I tell them, okay, this is how you do. I do videos on usually one main topic, but I do a series of that are sort of related. It's called a playlist on YouTube. And I send them the link to the playlist. So one video, for example, like I said in this last one, was on Blue Hour. The other one's on the Golden Hour. And maybe I did a whole series just on lighting. So, you know, I sort of build up. So this is the type of lights used in television and film. That was one. And the other one was, this is the type of light bulbs, which not the instrument, but the actual bulbs themselves, because as crazy as it sounds, the bulbs each make different kind of light. You know some, probably, you know, LED lights or, you know, fluorescent lights and all that. But each of these bulbs, for example, in this video, I show examples of, this is the bulb, so you know, but this is the kind of light it casts, because that makes a difference to the scenes that you're shooting.
That's
you know?
beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? And then the next video was how to set up lights. You know, how to do, like, light an interview, for example. I use examples. And so each video in the series, and there was, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something like that, built up and told a whole story. Now, I could have done one long, like, 2-hour video with everything, but first of all, no one's going to watch it on YouTube. And second of all, the more videos I have out there, the more chances are people to find it and to be interested. So you make videos that are usually shorter, somewhere 10, 12 minutes seems to be good for a tutorial. But sometimes it's longer if it warrants. I mean, it depends on the topic. But the idea is, by giving all this information out that people could find if they look online, if you found it for me on my channel, you could find it anywhere, you establish yourself as an expert in the field. And that helps you to build that personal brand. And that personal brand could be a sole proprietor, such as, you know, you're the face of your blog, let's say, or I'm the face of my company. Or it could be, you know, it could be a character, or, you know, you've seen plenty, like I can think, I used to shoot video when I lived in California for Jack in the Box. I couldn't tell you who the CEO of Jack in the Box is, but I know who Jack is. Yeah, it's a fast food chain. You know, he's a big clown. Like that, he's their face. You know, the company on TV. I don't know if they have Jack in the Box in where you guys live, but they do here. It's like McDonald's. It's a fast food chain.
Jim, just to, you know, a quick one on that one. How long does it take to begin to see the success?
Okay, that is a very good question, and I would give it at least usually a year, depending on other factors.
Right.
Are you a big, like, Fortune 500 company that people already know? Right. Do you have a product that people already know, or is it new? Or for what I do, it's sort of it's kind of obscure. You know, I say I do television and video production. Nobody knows what that means. You know, all I think of is, oh, you make TV shows or something, you know? I'm like, well, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You know, the answer is you're not going to be an overnight success. Okay, I can guarantee you that. A lot of people think that. They do one, and they think, ooh, I'm going to be a viral star or whatever, and that's just not how it works. This is a long-term goal to help you. And what I talked about a little bit earlier is, if you stick with it consistently, like I do every Wednesday, I release on Wednesday, you will see long-term goals.
Right.
Because again, don't forget, videos that I put up, that video I talked about as a child, I put that up when I started my channel, I think it was in 2009. that's still getting views. And it's been 11 years.
Incredible.
So, you know what I'm saying? So the idea is, and it's free. I mean, literally, all right, I admit there's costs. Like if you do production, there's costs involved in that, and you need internet and all that. But literally, once it's done and online, it's there 24/7. And it's working.
For those, Jim, that maybe struggle with consistency, because what I'm hearing there is you have to be consistent at the craft. What would you say to those who maybe not see the results straight away and they are tempted to give up?
Sure. I would say, first of all, don't quit. And because if you do, it's all pretty much a waste of time and your effort. And time is money, so we don't want that. But if you have a business, and this, like for me, it's my primary business, so I'm kind of doing it 24/7. But most people aren't in my shoes. If you, whatever your business is, spend a day or two shooting them all and editing them so that you can focus on your business the other days of the week. What I do usually is I will record anywhere from 2 to like maybe 9 or 10 videos in one day.
Right.
When I have time. So that, and I can't usually do more because my voice gets super hoarse by the time we're done. But I record a lot of them at once, multiples. And they're, like as I said, they're usually related in some way or other. Not always. I mean, I have one-offs sometimes. But they're generally related. And I spend a large bulk of time doing that and then editing them. And I get them on YouTube. And once they're uploading, I can go, they're in the background, I can do other work and concentrate on that. So I devote time to this so that I can get it out of the way and then do it, then do my other business-related activities. And when I'm getting down to the end, let's say I did, half a dozen of them. Well, 4 weeks later, when I'm down to the last 2, I'll start writing scripts and getting the next batch out there. And this works really well. And I will be honest, in the last 2.5 years, I've only ever missed 2 weeks where I wasn't able to put one out. And that is, I'll be honest, is because I got business from the videos I had and I was traveling, and flying in the airplane. I was too busy to do it. But if you do that, if you record multiples at once and concentrate on those and get them online, you're not spending like 2 or 3 days every week dealing with this, and then you're forgetting about your business. You have time to do everything. I mean, most people do that anyway. They prioritize what's happening in their day. With business, there's always a fire to be put out. So this is just one of those things you have to devote time to. And I usually do in blocks so that I can, when it's done, I'm freed up for other things.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. This has been wonderful. Jim, for those who wants to carry on learning with you, where can they find you?
Sure. I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course, we talked about that, LinkedIn, and the web. And all you got to do is search for Jim Costa Films.
Awesome.
Because that's part of my strategy. You talk about personal branding. It's the same everywhere. So if you even type in Jim Costa, you'll probably find my YouTube channel or LinkedIn or something else. And Jim Costa Films will show up all these. And that's just like consistency, releasing every week. You have consistency in the brand. So no matter which platform you are, I have my company name, which also has my name in there, so that's all together. And there's no underscores or there's no nothing. So that everyone is the same. And that's one of the things I try and teach people because some people hire me to do the production, some people hire me to do the social media or some combination of both. So I teach them to do that whatever they do, they should change the name so it's all your company name is all the same. So no matter where you are, it can be found that way.
Awesome. Finally, Jim, is there anything I haven't asked you about creating a personal branding and connecting with customers that you would like our listeners to know about?
Sure. Well, do you want to know a little bit more of some of the secrets if you do YouTube? Like
Absolutely.
if you decide to put...
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Well, we talked about some, and some of the others that work that are important to know is you want to create everything from your first impression has to be good. So you have to start out with a really great thumbnail on video. And the thumbnail is that little picture that shows up on your phone or your computer, that sort of introduces the video. The thumbnail, way I create personal branding, my thumbnails that are my blog all have my picture. And or it could be your company logo or your project or your product or whatever you're selling if it's a physical product. And it has to be, you want 4 to 6 words on your thumbnail that describe what the video is about, that are accurate and big enough to see, like on a phone because it's very tiny, and will draw people in so they click on your video as opposed to someone else's. You want a title that is very accurate and includes your keywords in the title of the video, because you got to remember, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and it's owned by the largest search engine in the world, which is Google. So the title has to be very accurate and contain important keywords to what the video is about, and it has to be accurately reflected. You don't want to put something like, pandemic, COVID-19, and it's not a video about the pandemic, because people will just click away right away. So it has to be accurately reflect what the video is. You have 100 characters for your title. You should use as many of those as possible. The next thing to keep in mind to get people to find your videos and want to click them is you have to have an accurate description, and the first 2 or 3 lines of the description is what shows up, like on your phone or when you're doing a Google search of videos. That first 3 lines should contain as many important keywords about the video as are relevant, because it's used to index it and for search engine purposes. Plus, you want that to be accurate, because you want people to say, "Oh, this looks like a really interesting video. I'm going to click on it." They read, and if you're searching on Google, it only shows 3 lines or so of the video, so it has to be really accurate. The other thing is they call them the tags, which are the like the hashtags or keywords to index down below. That's in the back end of the video. You don't see that in the public, but those need to be really super accurate. You get 500 characters in YouTube, and you have to use them well. So what I recommend to people to do is to do a little research when you're coming up with a video topic. So if it's related to your business, you want to come up with, you don't want to put business as a keyword, or how to stay in business, or something very general like that, because those are too generic. And there's millions and millions of videos online that are about, business techniques or sales, increase your sales, or some generic term like that. And the chances of someone finding you, there's 0. I mean, last time I heard, there was over 300 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every second of every single day.
Wow.
So if you do generic tags in the description, which is what Google uses and YouTube uses to index it, no one's going to find you. You want to have longer tail keywords in your tags that are more narrow and focused, and have less of a search volume. And by search volume, instead of saying how to grow your business, your keyword could be something like how to start a successful business blog, like say for your company, because that's a much longer keyword you type in Google, and so there's less people searching for that specific thing. But because that's what, say, your blog is about, they're more likely to click on your video, because there'll be a lot less videos on that very narrowly defined topic. So, and this is one of the things I teach people how to do, is to have more specific, longer keywords, at least a mix of them, in your video to help people narrow down. If you have a search volume from, say, 1,000 a month, if you can find a keyword to describe a long tail keyword to describe your video in Google search that has maybe 1,000 searches a month to like maybe 100 grand at most, you're more likely to have your video found on YouTube because there are millions of videos probably on how to start a blog or how to be successful blogs or some generic term like that. But if you have a search that says, how do I create a successful business B2B blog or something like that, that's really specific to your niche and your industry, you will have more chance of being found because people who are searching for that term need the exact information or services that you provide or you have that you can give them. So you don't want to be, I never put tags that are like video tutorial, or photography tutorial or whatever. I put like how to shoot video during the blue hour, which is a very more niche down targeted section. So I put that as the keyword, like that's the video we talked about, because you see what I'm saying? Because if you're a producer or a video filmmaker or whatever that have to learn that, that's more likely what you're going to type. And that way people are more likely to find my video because not that many people will search for that. And it seems like it seems counterintuitive, right? You want to be open to a wider audience, but that's not really the key of YouTube. The key is to be the number one guy or the number one business or whatever in your specific niche. So you want to target your niche down to the core. Remember we talked about the core of your business, your elevator pitch? Yeah. You want to target your niche or your channel down to the core of what you do so that people who are specifically looking for you, those are your leads and your customers, we want them laser focused on you and your company. And if you can do that, especially when you're new and starting out, that's a way that you build your brand and establish yourself or your company as the go-to brand or the go-to guy or whatever for your business or service or product or whatever. It has to be laser focused. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, that's why I do long tail keywords. And I teach people all of these back things where they hire me to do the social media themselves or to, even to just consult with them and train them. That's one of the things we narrow down. And you will start to see results. But again, it takes time. If there's only 1,000 people searching for that specific, whatever title of your video or that specific topic, it seems like, well, that's slow, but that's why I say it's a long-term thing. Because if 1,000 people are searching for it for every month, that's 12,000 a year. That's 12,000 potential, leads that you have that you can turn into customers. And who wouldn't like an extra 10 or 12,000 customers in a year? Even if you only convert a few of those, think about it. If you can convert 4 or 5 out of 1,000, I mean, it's a very low rate, but those are 4 or 5 other customers who never heard of you. And if you have a service that's like house cleaning or whatever, carpet cleaning or whatever, people only do that once a year, whatever it is, but they will come back to you once they find you. See, that's when I say it's a long-term strategy. When I talk about that, I mean, those are the things we do. And there's other back-end things, but those are some of the things that I have figured out about YouTube, how it works, and how to grow. And I'll be honest, I've had clients that I do work for 10, 12 years, 15 years, that just keep coming back, that just say, hey, I got something coming up in 6 weeks. Are you available? Done. Why? Because they found me years ago, and I started figuring all this out, and they still come back. Indeed. Which is why you need to give it time. Don't you won't be an overnight success. I can't stress that enough. That's just not how, for business especially, how it works. But if you can, once you start doing that, and if you have, let's say you put one video a week for 2 months. Well, that's 8 videos. If someone finds your YouTube channel and they found one of your videos, they see these others like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is what I was looking for. This is what, what I'm saying? It puts that seed in their mind that you are the expert in the field or whatever that they're looking for. That's kind of the seed I'm trying to plant in people's mind, is that I am the pro, I am the expert in this, which is why I have no problem giving away my secrets, how to shoot, how to do this, how to do whatever, because first of all, most people don't have the equipment to do it. Most people don't really have the knowledge to do it. I mean, some people are handyman or whatever, and they may be able to fix something if you're a carpenter and that's your service, but the chances are most people don't have the time to build a house or to install a kitchen or whatever your business is. So by establishing you yourself as the expert, you may not get that one guy who's going to do the work himself, but you will get the next one who has no clue how. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean by long-term strategy and building your brand. It doesn't happen overnight to any company. I mean, all companies started out really super small once. Maybe one guy working in his garage, but they will eventually grow. I started in a spare bedroom once upon,
Yes.
with just me and my computer and my dial-up internet, and that was it. So that's why you have to stick with it and take those. But those are some of the back end things that I do, and there's actually more. I mean, God, I could go on for 2 hours on all the things that we do. But once you kind of get the rhythm going and get it going, you will find hundreds. And what I have found, for example, is because I do this on all my videos, even the samples, like you mentioned, I have 4,400. Well, they're not all blogs. Some are TV commercials and other work that I've done. YouTube, once my channel is sort of established as something that people want to watch,
yes,
they start recommending. If you look on the side of YouTube, it's on the right-hand side, it says recommended videos. I'll open up any of my videos and scroll down, and there's 20 there. At least 5 or more would be one of my videos.
Wow.
Of some type.
Incredible.
Because and that means that people have a chance. You can see commercials or other blogs that are related or whatever. And it's YouTube. They're doing advertising for me, see? After you get this going and you start going on all your older videos and you get everything done, once your channel starts growing and you start getting more views and more subscribers and people stay longer on your channel, which is why I do related videos, it tells YouTube, their algorithm, hey, this channel's got stuff people want to watch. There must be something good about this channel. It doesn't know what the content is. It just knows that people like the content because they watch the videos all the way through, and they'll click on the next video and watch another video on your channel that's a related topic.
That's awesome.
That's why I do that.
This is brilliant.
And then YouTube in turn advertises for me. How? By getting recommended videos, or we suggest this, or if you watch videos on how to be a photographer, maybe you'd like this. We suggest this. Yeah. And the other thing is, if people are watching your videos and logging on, it boosts your SEO, right? Which means that Google, when you search for a topic on Google, they're more likely to recommend your video. And it's free. It doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to pay Google for advertising, you don't have to pay to promote. You don't have to pay to put your stuff on TV and all the ad feeds for TV stations or any of that. That's what's so great about it, is once you get past the initial cost of making it and the time to do it and all that, it's there forever. And if you do it right and consistently keep it up, they do the work for you.
They do, absolutely. Well, Jim, we are out of time now, but you have been outstanding in the amount of knowledge you've shared with us here today. And I want to remind you where you can find Jim. You can just go straight to Instagram, look for Jim Costa Films. You'll be able to connect with Jim, or just go straight to his YouTube channel. Look for Jim Costa's Films. And you'll be able to connect with Jim. Jim, once again, thank you for being here on the show. We hope to have you back here to talk about maybe the mindset of a YouTuber, what drives you to keep on going, and many other things in another episode. But for today,
sure,
it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a virtual assistant to support you in your business, reach out to one of our team here, or just click one of the buttons around here for a free offering that we have. Have a great day, everyone. I'll look forward to talking with you again very, very soon.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18, or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.